Hello, my dear friends. My name is CA Vinay, and today we are going to start with the fourth topic of your Indian Contract Act, that is performance of contract. Till now, we have already covered first three units of your business law, that is Indian Contract Act. Now we are going to start with the fourth topic, and in the current lecture, we are going to cover only the first four sections, that is section number 37, 40, 41 and 42. In between these two, section 38 and 39, we will see it in the next lectures. Okay, so today we are going to cover section 37, 40, 41 and 42. So let us start with the first section, that is section number 37. What it says: obligation of parties to contracts. And see what section number 37 says: the parties to a contract must either perform or offer to perform, they can be perform or offer to perform their respective promises unless such performance is dispensed with or excused under the provisions of this act or of any other law. Promises bind the representatives of the promisers in case of death of such promisers before performance unless a contrary intention appears from the contract. What it means? Section 37 tells about what are the obligation of the parties to the contract. So accordingly, parties to the contract must either, they have an option, what they can either perform or offer to perform, right? They can do their obligation or they can offer to perform their obligation, their respective promises, unless such performance is dispensed with or excused. Okay, dispensed with or excused is nothing but they need not be performed, right? Dispensed with or excused, nothing but obligations need not be performed, right? When the parties are need not to perform their obligations, when it is given under the provisions of this act is nothing but Indian Contract Act 1872 or any other law, right? In those cases, the parties to the contract are excused from performing their obligation. See what second point says: promises bind the representatives of the promisers in case of death of such promisers before performance. If Mr. A promised to Mr. B for the performance of some promise, but he died before his performance, now the representative of Mr. A will be liable for the purpose of the performance of the contract unless a contrary intention appears from the contract. If the contract says that the performance has to be performed by the Mr. A only, then representatives of A will not be liable on this contract. Let us see one example for this. See, A promises to deliver goods to B on a certain day on payment of rupees 1000. Right? Here are the two parties, Mr. A and Mr. B. Right? A dies before that day. A's representative are bound to deliver the goods to B and B is bound to pay rupees 1000 to A's representative. See, Mr. A has promised to deliver the goods on 30th for 2020 and Mr. B agreed that to pay rupees 1000, but Mr. A died before this date. Now A's representative will come into picture and now he has to deliver the goods to Mr. B and Mr. B has to pay rupees 10,000 to Mr. A, right? This example is clear. See the second example. A promises to paint a picture for B by certain day at a certain price. A dies before the day. The contract cannot be performed or enforced either by A's representative or by B. Why? Because painting, right? Mr. A has promised what? He is going to paint a picture of B. Painting is what? It is a personal skill, right? that painting can be done by Mr. A and his representative cannot be compelled to perform the act. In such cases, the representative will not be held responsible for the performance of the contract. Right? Clear? See, it is necessary for the party who wants to enforce the promise made to him to perform his promise for himself or offer to perform his promise. Only after that he can ask the other party to carry out his promise. What it means? Say, for example, there are two people, Mr. A and Mr. B, and Mr. B is a shopkeeper. Mr. A has gone to his shop and asked for a pen. Right? Now, first Mr. A has to give him rupees 10. Then Mr. B will give what? A pen to Mr. A. Right? Here, first Mr. A has to perform his obligation, that is payment of rupees 10. Then he can demand a pen from Mr. B. Without performing his promise, he cannot go for asking the performance of the promise of the other party. See what they have given. Same thing they have mentioned in this paragraph. Right? See. It is necessary for the party who wants to enforce the promise made to him to perform his promise for himself or offer to perform his promise. Only after that he can ask the other party to carry out his promise. Right? He is absolved from such a responsibility only when, under the provisions of this law or an act of the other party to the contract, the performance can be dispensed with or excused. That is nothing but the obligations need not be performed. And performance may be actual or offer to perform. Right? This one we have already seen. What is actual performance and what is offer to perform? Let us see. Actual performance, where a party to a contract has done what he had undertaken to do, or either of the parties have fulfilled their obligation under the contract within the time and in the manner prescribed. Right? In this case, actual performance is nothing but one of the party has already done their obligation. We have seen that executory contract and executed contract, right? In that, what we have seen, unilateral contract and bilateral contracts, right? Types of contracts in the chapter 1, right? There we have seen that executory contract is one where one of the parties has already performed their promise and other party is yet to perform, that is unilateral contract. In bilateral contract, both the parties are yet to perform their promise. Here, where a party to a contract has done, they have already done their part, what he had undertaken to do. So, this is nothing but actual performance. Then, what is offer to perform or attempted performance or tender to performance? Tender of performance. All are one and the same. What is that? Offer to perform, attempted performance, or tender of performance. It may happen sometimes when the performance becomes due. The promiser offers to perform his obligation, but what? The promisee refuses to accept the performance. Right? Say for example, on 31st March 2020, Mr. A had promised to deliver 10 chocolates to Mr. B. Right? As on this date, Mr. A has gone to Mr. B's house and handed over the 10 chocolates and demanded his payment. But Mr. B refused to take the delivery and he returned the chocolates to Mr. A. Here it is an offer to perform. Mr. A has already offered to deliver 10 chocolates to Mr. B on the scheduled date and time, right, in the manner prescribed, but Mr. B has refused to accept the performance. In that case, we will call it as what? Offer to perform or attempted performance or tender of performance. Clear? Let us see. Next section is what? Section number 40. Right? What it says? Person by whom promise is to be perform. Who can perform the promise? Right? There are totally three parties who can perform the promise. See, if it appears from the nature of the case that it was the intention of the parties to any contract that any promise contained in it should be performed by the promiser himself. If the contract is of such nature that it is to be performed by the promiser himself, such promise must be performed by the promiser. In other case, promiser or his representative may employ a competent person to perform. So according to section number 40, who can perform the promise? Whenever there is involved a personal skills or it is of what, say, let us say, when it involves a personal confidence founded on founded on personal confidence. Okay, in these two cases the promiser only has to perform the promise. Say for example, SRK, we all know who is SRK, right? My favorite Shah Rukh Khan has promised that he will perform in my birthday party, right? So now only Shah Rukh Khan can come and perform in my function. Now no other person can perform the promise because it is what? It is a personal skills involved, right? Second one is founded on personal confidence. Say for example, contract of marriage, right? Contract of marriage. In that case, the specific person only has to perform the promise. That is, say Mr. A has promised to marry Mrs. B or Mrs. A. Let us say they are married, right? So now Mr. A only can perform the contract. So in these two cases, only promiser can perform the promise. If any other case, either the promiser or his agent. If the promiser has died, then representative of the promiser or representative can appoint a agent to perform the promise. Clear? So these four parties can perform the promise. Only promiser can perform the promise only in these two cases. Personal skills are involved or it is founded on a personal confidence. Clear? Let us see. A promises to pay B a sum of money. A may perform this promise either by personally paying the money to B or by causing it to be paid to B by another. And if A dies before the time appointed for payment, his representative must perform the promise or employ some proper person to do so. So, A himself can perform the promise, A's agent can perform the promise. In case of A's death, that is, promiser is died, then his legal representative or his legal representative's agent, right? So, these four people can perform the promise. A promises to paint a picture. Painting a picture is what? It involves a personal skills, right? So in this case, only the promiser can perform the contract. A must perform this promise personally. No other person can perform this contract, right? See, section number 40. This is the summary. Person by whom promise is to be performed. Promiser himself, right? See. One second. Let us see. If there is something in the contract to show that it was the intention of the parties that promise should be performed by the promiser himself, such promise must be performed by the promiser. This means contract which involves what? Exercise of personal skill or diligence, or which are founded on personal confidence between the parties, must be performed by the promiser himself, right? For example, singing by a singer, marriage contracts, etc., right? These are the few example for this. Then agent can perform the contract where personal consideration is not foundation of a contract. The promiser or his representative may employ a competent person to perform it, right? That is agent of the promiser or his legal representative. Then legal representative, a contract which involves the use of personal skill or is founded on a personal consideration, comes to an end on the death of the promiser. As regards any other contract, the legal representative of the deceased promiser are bound to perform it unless contrary intention appears from the contract. That is section 37 para 2. But their liability in the contract is limited to the value of the property they inherited from the deceased, right? Their liability is equal to what? Their liability under this case will be less than or equal to the assets inherited, right? They will not be asked to perform more than what they have acquired from the deceased person, right? This is in case of legal representative. Then even a third party can perform the promise, right? If the third party has performed the promise, then what will be the situation? Let's see effect of accepting the performance from third party, right? See section number 41. When a promisee accepts the performance, wait for a second. See, when a promisee accepts the performance of the promise from a third person, right? He is nowhere concerned with the contract. He cannot afterwards enforce it against the promiser, right? It means what? If a third party is performing the promise and the promisee has accepted the performance, then again he cannot go back to promiser and tell that you have to perform the promise again. See, say for example, there is a person Mr. A and Mr. B. Mr. A delivered goods and B had promised to pay rupees how much? 10,000. Later B was unable to make the payment. Goods have already delivered to Mr. B. So there comes into a picture another person, that is Mr. C, who is a friend of Mr. B. Let us call it as what? Third person, okay? He is a third person. Now Mr. C has paid rupees 6,000 to Mr. A and Mr. A has accepted, right? A accepted rupees 6,000 from C. B neither authorized nor ratified the act of Mr. C. Now if you see this example, Mr. A has already accepted rupees 6,000 from Mr. C. Now Mr. B is liable to pay only how much? Rupees 4,000 to Mr. A. Mr. A can claim only 4,000 rupees from Mr. B and not more than that. Clear? Let us see the last section for the day, that is section number 42, that is joint promisers. When two or more persons have made a joint promise, then unless the contrary intention appears by the contract, all such promisers during their joint lives and after the death of any of them, his representative jointly with the survivor or survivors, and after the death of the last survivor, the representative of all jointly must fulfill the promise, right? If you read this, you will not understand it. Let us see one example and we will come back to that later. Say for example, there are three parties, Mr. A, B and C. They have taken a loan from Mr. P and promised to repay it jointly, right? They are what now? They are promisers. Let us call it them as a joint promisers because all of these put together, they have promised to Mr. P that they will repay the loan of rupees 10,000. Say in first case, A died. Now A is representative plus B and plus C will be responsible for performance of the promise. Again, second case, B died. Now who is going to perform? A is representative plus B is representative plus C, who is the survivor, right? Next, C also died. Now who are responsible to perform the contract? A is representative, B is representative plus C is representative are liable to perform the contract. Now let us come back to the section number 42. Now read it once again. When two or more persons have made a joint promise. Here two or more persons means who are that? Mr. A, B and C have made a joint promise. Then unless a contrary intention appears by the contract, all such persons during their joint lives, during they are surviving, all these three persons jointly, and after the death of any of them, his representative jointly with the survivor. See here, A is representative jointly with the survivor B and C. Then or and after the death of the last survivor, who is the last survivor? C. The representatives of all jointly must perform the promise. Right? Understood this example? Simple it is. Right? So one more concept we are going to see in the current lecture. This is the last concept for the day. That is succession versus assignment. What do you mean by succession? When the benefits of a contract are succeeded to by process of law. Okay, here it is succeeded to by what? Process of law. Okay, it is not willfully, intentionally, it is done by process of law. Then both burden as well as the benefits attaching to the contract may sometimes devolve on the legal heirs. That is nothing but succession. Okay, it is done by what? Process of law. Both burden as well as benefits will go to whom? To the legal heir. The liability of the legal heir will be limited. Remember this word, limited, to the extent of the property inherited by them. See, say for example, case number 1, assets acquired are how much? 1 lakh by inheritance. What is the liability acquired? It is 50,000. So out of 1 lakh he is required to pay 50,000. Liability to pay 50,000 out of 1 lakh. This can be done. See the second case. Asset acquired are how much? 1 lakh. Whereas liability acquired is how much? 1 lakh 20,000. So now the liability of legal heir will be how much? Liable to pay only to the extent of rupees 1 lakh. Why? It is limited to the property inherited by him. Simple. Understood both the example? Important examples. You have to remember this examples forever. Okay. These are the important things. Okay. Let us move ahead. In the matter of assignment, now we have seen what? It was what? Succession. Now we are seeing what? Assignment. See. However, the benefits of a contract can only be assigned. Okay. Only what? Benefit can be assigned, not the liabilities. Okay. See here. Only the benefits can be assigned. Okay. Be assigned, but not the, not, remember it, not the liabilities there under. This is because when the liability is assigned, a third party gets involved therein. Without his permission, we cannot transfer our liability, right? In case of assignment, only benefits can be assigned, not the liabilities, right? Where the benefit is coupled with the liability, or when the personal consideration has entered into the making of the contract, then benefits cannot be assigned. In these two cases, even when benefits and liabilities are coupled with, you cannot assign the benefits only. There are two cases. Benefit is coupled with liability and when the personal consideration are involved. See, benefit plus liability go hand in hand, or when personal consideration is involved. In these two cases, assignment of benefits is not possible. Right? Simple. Understood? With this, we are going to stop today's lecture. In the next lecture, we are going to continue with this fourth unit itself. Keep learning, keep growing. If you have any doubts, you can contact me anytime. You can comment on this video and keep sharing the video so that even others can also learn from this, and like the video if you like the explanation and all. Thank you.